Hello and welcome back to Whiskey Wars. My name is Sean, and it's about that time of year again where everyone wants to be Irish. So let's review the most famous Irish whiskey, and that is Jameson. Let's get into it. Alright folks, so here is our bottle for this evening, and it's about that time of year again where everything will start being green, and shamrocks and leprechauns and clover and all those things will start showing up all over the place for some reason. And so then that means it's time to drink Irish whiskey again. And this is probably by far the most famous of Irish whiskeys, Jameson, a triple distilled Irish whiskey. And as it says on the front of the bottle there, it says it started in 1780. Although, like most whiskey history, that's a little murky, and it seems like actually John Jameson probably bought the distillery that would become Jameson around 1810, somewhere in that time frame. But nonetheless, here we are today with this bottle, and this bottle certainly has a special place in my heart. This was the second whiskey I ever tried after Wild Turkey 101, and just fell in love with it immediately. Completely different than your Kentucky bourbon, but definitely something that's enjoyable. So let's get some poured here and get into this Irish whiskey and see what it's all about. So now this is an 80 proof whiskey, so not going to be real bold by any means. Certainly on the lighter side, and especially lighter compared to bourbon in general. Just across the board, Irish whiskey will be lighter. So let's see what we get on the nose. All right, so right away, really nice citrus notes, like a sweet orange, a lemon, definitely that typical shortbread cookie note coming through. Also kind of like a butter cookie in there as well. Just hints of maybe like a ginger, some light baking spices, maybe a slight peppery note in there. Almost like a nutmeg coming through. And you're getting that slight metallic note that pot stilled and Irish whiskey is kind of famous for, especially Jameson. And there's certainly like a buttery note in there, as well as like a vanilla. Yeah, all in all, a nice nose for a budget Irish whiskey. Let's go in for our first sip here. All right, so the nose certainly told us what the palate would be like, and it didn't disappoint. So you get nice citrus notes, really sweet citrus, I would say, like a sweet orange, maybe even like a nectarine. There is slight lemony notes in there as well that are slightly more sour, tangy. And then definitely getting that honey, that kind of shortbread cookie, kind of butter cookies in there as well. There is certainly those baking spices playing in the mix there, kind of a cinnamon, a little bit of a nutmeg, just hints of pepper, just a slight pepper note, more like a white pepper though. It's not real spicy. You're not getting your typical bourbon notes. You're not finding the brown sugars, the cinnamons, the rich oak notes. You know, if there is an oaky note, it's very subdued, definitely in the background, very light. One other thing though is you do get that slight metallic note that Jameson has kind of become famous for, I guess you would say. It's kind of like if you left a nickel in your whiskey, you kind of get that just slight metallic note showing up there. Not necessarily off-putting, but it is there. Let's go in for a second sip here and see what else we can get. Now folks, before we get into those tasting notes, if you're enjoying the video, then hit that like button. And also, if you're really enjoying them, please subscribe. Now, let's get into these tasting notes. So on that sip, got even more of those citrus notes, those lemons, oranges, really sweet, just really nice citrus notes, as well as that vanilla is kind of playing in there as well as kind of like a whipping cream. So it's kind of like maybe like an orange creamsicle note in there, as well as those nice kind of cookie bready notes from like the shortbread or something like that, some kind of butter cookie, shortbread cookie. All in all, just a really nice, easy sipping whiskey. I would say that Jameson is a great whiskey to kind of start the night out with because it is so kind of tame and easy. I can't imagine anybody being turned off by this. It's very gentle and nice on the palate. There's nothing sharp or pointy or kind of going to feel like it's going to hurt you. Just a nice, easy sipping whiskey. A great one to get somebody into whiskey if they're new to it, for sure. Certainly kind of build their palate, help them to start picking out things if they're new to whiskey. And it's interesting enough that I think you can drink it neat. Certainly there are better Irish whiskeys, but this is not a bad place to start. So as far as a rating goes, let's first talk about the rating system. I'm going to change it just a little bit, tweak it some to get a more accurate representation of what we're getting. It's been pointed out by several folks that maybe I'm not going hard enough on whiskeys that are just average or below average. So to better represent that, now an average whiskey will be a 5. So if you're above average, then it goes up from there, and if you're below average, it's down from 5. So with that said, now with this Jameson, I would say it's above average, but not a lot above average. I mean, this is a budget bottle for sure, and I'm probably going to rate it higher than some would because I just have some history with this bottle. But with all that said, I'm going to go a 6.4. Certainly not a bad whiskey by any means, and a great place to start in the Irish world. And so if you've not tried Jameson, then first off, where have you been? But secondly, go out and try it for yourself. And this is the time of year to do that, I suppose. So go out and give it a try. And then folks, if you've enjoyed this video, then please hit that like button. And also, if you want to see more stuff from me, you can click right here for more reviews. And if you're really enjoying the channel, then you can subscribe right here. And until next time, folks, just remember, you can never have too much good whiskey.